Thank you everybody for coming. This is a Panasonic demo featuring the Varicam LT professional product, and we're pitting it against, as a benchmark, the new Panasonic EVA-1, their newest digital video camera. And we're also comparing these two Panasonic products to the Black Magic Ursa Mini4.6K. And also for comparison, we have the Sony FS5 prosumer camera. This is a non-scientific test, but what we're trying to establish here is a difference, if there is one, in the capture devices of each of these manufacturers. Predominantly, we're looking at the high-end prosumer units because the Varicam LT admittedly is in a professional category all its own. So really, the focus of this test would be amongst the common price points, the Sony FS5, the Black Magic Ursa Mini, not the Pro, just the Ursa Mini4.6K, and the new Panasonic EVA-1. So we want to get a sense of the color science, the differences that there might be between the codecs from Panasonic, Sony, and Black Magic. It's not a focus test, although you can see I've got some focus parameters up here on the board. That's for mere academics. What I'm looking at is dynamic range today. I'm looking at color reproduction today. And we will process all of these files, and we're going to look at them in flat presentation mode and in Rec 709 presentation modes. And just get a sense and a feel for what the flavors of these four cameras really are. So first, we're just going to start with some chart dynamics and take a look at how these cameras are recording color and grayscale. And then, given enough time, we're going to try and light a few things with a couple of different light sources and some high key and some low key, and take a look at how the chips are reacting to that. At some point in the future, I'd like to present a day exterior version of this test to get a sense of how the cameras react under broad available light. But for today, everything is going to be under our control, so we can sort of push things and see where the boundaries are. So we're at UCF today at their soundstage on the main campus in Orlando. We have folks from Panasonic here, folks from LA Film School, and folks from UCF. So welcome to the folks on YouTube, and thanks everybody else for coming who's taking part in this, and let's get started. This is Christy, our student assistant. She's very eagerly volunteering for this. And we have no fill on her low side. We have a nice key light. This is, John, is this still the 2K?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So we have Mole Richardson Studio 2K LED, also set on daylight. The cameras are still on daylight. We have a nice airy S60 panel back there with a nice lavender gel dialed into it. And we have some vanity globes at 15 watts, and they are up full at 3200 ISO. So we have a nice warm value back there as well. Okay, so what we have now, we've done our charts. We've looked at our overexposure tolerance and our underexposure tolerance. Now we're going to apply it to a realistic situation, and we're going to kind of look at the lighting and see if we believe underexposure at 4 stops, and if we believe a key light that's blooming at maybe a stop over. And then we're going to add fill, and we're going to take it away and see, you know, if all of this data that we collected now on the charts resembles the reality of the sensitivity of the chips. So this is our first exposure. If you check out the monitor over there, that's with no fill. It's with a hard key. And we've got the background lit. The background is 4 stops underexposed. So we're right there, right? So that purple value back there should still stay intact based on our testing earlier. Her low side without fill is also 4 stops under, about 3.5 stops underexposed. Okay, and the bright value, the makeup vanity mirror has 15 watt practicals. They're up at full. Okay, I don't tend to meter things like that. I just look at them by eye and see if I believe whether or not they're clipping or not. I'm looking on a Rec 709 monitor right now, and the image seems like it's intact. We did have the V-log up for a moment, and I did see that the value was holding together. So I'm not too worried about it. And if it's a little clippy, I believe that too, because I think in reality it would, based on the available light in this stage. So we're going to take this one on all 4 cameras, and we're going to compare the results in post. What I want to do now, since the low side is, it's just about 4 stops under over here. If I bury my hand in the shadow, you can see what we're going to do is open this up with a bounce card. And we're going to see that bounce card's probably going to open it up at least a stop. Let's have a look here. Yeah, just, yeah, you got to, well, I'll tell you what, tip it up. There it is. And show me the diff. Let's wag it in and out and bring it on.
And that's full on right there.
I think it needs to be more like so. There it is, yeah, right there. Can we make this live in a stand?
Yes.
Do we have
get that quacker?
Do we? Oh, there it is.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, let's calibrate that to the meter and we can move it in to show the difference. Let's walk it back.
Walking it back.
Good. Right there. That's perfect. All right. So we brought back 1 f-stop of light. So there's now twice as much light in the shadow as there was before. Just with the addition of that card. If we move it half the distance closer.
Want me to?
Yes, please. There's 2 stops right there. Okay. So that's pretty nice. 2 stops under on the fill. And we are at key per the meter. Well, we're a stop hot on the high side, which is nice. In other words, the exposure value that we have happening right now, our working stop is a 4 at 800 ISO. The key light is just a hair under 5.6, which means her high side is 1 f-stop overexposed. Her fill side is 2 stops underexposed. And as we look at the Rec 709 monitor, we see that's a pretty nice balance right there. So what I'm interested in seeing is the difference between this frame and the first frame without the fill. Where does the difference lie? What's it looking like in the underexposure? I like this right now. It has a nice balance. So what I'd like to try now is, we can cut the cameras for this, is we'll add some more diffusion to the key light, and we're going to darken this exposure and maybe open up the lens a little bit, introduce a little bit more bokeh in the background. See if we can get those lights to bloom nicely. So let's roll on this. Let's take a few seconds on this. So this is now at key, T4. The key light has been adjusted down one stop. We've brought in 2 stops of fill on the low side. We have a real nice exposure stretch. We got a T16.5 on the highlights in the background. And we have a black value assigned somewhere in the vicinity of the cubby just over her left shoulder. So that's our black value. I think it looks pretty nice. I prefer her key one stop over for this scenario. I think that looked very natural, especially playing against the background. But I mean, this tells us a lot about the rendering capability of the Panasonic color science. It's pretty nice.
How long is it?
Whoever said these cameras don't look like film didn't know what they were talking
I
about.
don't know.